I'll shift to the projections and then try to not spend too much time on any of these guys because I could probably talk at length about some of them, and then just go over why I think these are particularly good spots tonight. One of these prop angles that I think is excellent is Palo Banchero. Again, feel like I keep going back to him a little too much. Lots to love about this matchup, though. And like last night's assist prop, hopefully it's not too good to be true. That one seemed like it. Everything pointed to Banchero going over with a strong projection in the matchup and some recent trends, and he crushed it. He had, I think, 7 assists in that game. So, I don't want to go back too much, but when the data lines up, it's a pretty good spot. So he's been on a tear since the All-Star break. March alone, he's averaging over 26 points and 9.3 rebounds per game. Both of those are season highs for a sustained stretch. He won King of the Court twice recently, including in this same matchup with the Wizards just last week. Washington's under the microscope. They just allowed the BAM game. So, points are going to be a little skewed, but they've allowed the most points of any team over their last 15 games and the most rebounds in that span. They ranked 24th in assists. And you adjust that for forwards, they are pretty consistently 19th or 20th versus all 3 main categories. Don't know if he's going to go this high. Obviously, minutes and blowouts have to be, on your mind, especially late in the season. We are definitely in silly season now. But plus 2,100 for his 3rd triple-double of the year. Plus money rebounds start at 9+, and we have him at 8.5, right about where we've got projected at that line. So points and rebounds certainly in play for Banchero tonight. If you like a big long shot, that triple-double is certainly appealing. But again, this could easily get out of hand, and he could be sitting much of a game, kind of like we saw with Jokic last night. Looked like he was going to cruise to a big PRA game with basically a triple-double in the first quarter, sits the entire fourth, does not clear 40 PRA, I believe. So just something to keep in mind, especially getting down the stretch. Mm-hmm. Another one, Wemby here is, I believe he's still listed as a game time decision.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't pull the trigger on this without checking his status. But I'm kind of wondering if there's another one of these big, 35-15 type Wemby games in line tonight. We've got him for 26.1 points and 11.5 boards. Those would rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for points, and I think 2nd for rebounds on the slate. So obviously very high upside. Not surprising given what we know he can do. He notably hasn't played against the Nuggets yet this season. He missed their first game back in NBA Cup play, and they have their next 3 matchups all coming up down the stretch. But he's had some pretty big games against Western Conference contenders this year, showing up in those important spots against teams he's got a good chance to face in the playoffs. 40-12 versus the Lakers, 39-9 versus the Timberwolves, 28 and 29 points in his last 2 games versus Houston, 16 boards in one of those. Mind you, Houston's allowed the fewest rebounds of any team this year. You can get him for 30+ and 12+ boards at plus 253, plus 115 or so, respectively. Not that far off our projections. Certainly not the boards. If I'm picking one play, 12+ boards for Wemby with our projection at 11.5 and plus money, that seems pretty good. Believe it or not, the Nuggets, who are, certainly a contender, still bottom 10 defense versus big men in both of those categories over their last 15 games. So possibly an exploitable spot there.
Speaking of exploitable spots, just really quickly, it's not in the rundown, but just something that kind of piqued my interest as you're going through there. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum has been ruled out against OKC. It's a marquee matchup, and Jaylen Brown maybe a little bit to prove after burning some betters in the last game being ejected. So he's projected at the moment. It looks like we've taken out Tatum out of those projections. Looks like that has updated. So 27 points projected. I'm just going to do a quick look at how he is. I think that's probably right on his line with FanDuel. He's 26.5, so it's probably on the right on the nose there.
He's probably got a good chance to show up given no Tatum. And like you said, after the other night, I think he's like public enemy number 1 for the sports betting landscape right now. I saw a lot of posts on Reddit, social, and in our own Discord of people who got burned on like one singular leg with just Jaylen Brown from the other night. So, certainly a spot to watch. That explains that spread also, by the way, that that Tatum's been rolled out. So,
Yeah.
as expected, they're still kind of easing him along. But, Celtics as much upside as I think anybody does down the stretch.
Yeah. 3-point angles, you got those up?
Yeah. So 3-pointers, I think this is a fun one tonight. I actually squeezed out an article pretty much about all these things I'm just going to mention here right before this show. But personally, one of my preferred props to ladder in the NBA, the team weaknesses are usually very cut and dry. The 3-point shot itself is as straightforward as it gets. You either make it or you don't. Rebounds can be taken away, assigned to the team. Sometimes don't count as a rebound. Assists require the pass and the shot. Sometimes just a little more goes into hitting those ladders. Threes are nice and clean, and I think we've got some pretty good targets tonight. You sort by 3-pointers here, which is what you can see. Luka Doncic, Colin Gillespie, Isaiah Joe, Max Christie, and Jamal Murray all at the top. Tyler Hero here in a pretty good spot with the Bucks, who've allowed the most threes made over their past 15 games, but he is questionable. Don't believe he played on Tuesday, so I probably would look elsewhere other than him. But some really good matchup targets tonight. You got the Nets, Bulls, Wizards, Grizzlies, all ranked really low against 3-point percentage over their last 15 games. Pacers are down there as well in the bottom 25% or so. I think they're ranked 23rd. I've got that somewhere down here in my notes. Volume-wise, I mentioned the Bucks allow the most per game. 76ers have actually allowed a ton lately, 14.7 per game. And the Bulls rank 27th at 14.7 as well. And that is the matchup I think probably worth highlighting. First of all, is against the Bulls, which, like you mentioned, Jace, the whole team is basically listed questionable or doubtful or whatever tonight. So another one where, playing time could be something you run into here. But as far as the spot itself, they're the only team that falls into both bottom categories of 3-point percentage and 3 points made over that game's time span. Luka here is our top projected at 3.8. He's got 10 plus attempts in 5 straight games, made 4 plus in 8 of 11 since the All-Star break. 4 plus is pretty juicy. It's around minus 145 or so on FanDuel. But the model does give him more upside than anyone on the slate. I'll probably personally play 5 plus, 6 plus at 160 and 330, both plus money odds. He's just, if anybody's going to do it, it's probably him. You could also look at Austin Reeves. He's obviously further down here, 2.4 threes per projected. So Austin Reeves probably going to have more, if Luka's sitting is a thing, then Austin Reeves will probably funnel a few more shots his way. But I do like the matchup for Luka tonight. Bulls have just been such a good target for the most part all season. A couple of these other guys in really good spots. Colin Gillespie is one I really like too. He gets the Pacers. One of the more compelling targets, I think, tonight, especially with his recent form. Projected here at 3.1, second on the night. He's got 4 plus in 5 of his last 6, 5 plus in 3 of those. Luka hit 7 versus the Pacers on Friday. He's the only one projected here above Gillespie. So a lot of similarities there. Max Christie projected for 3 on the dot. That's plus money, 106, plus 106 on FanDuel. He gets that Grizzlies matchup that was bottom 5 in the league or so. And then Nickeil Alexander-Walker here. He's 2.8, so he's the lowest out of all of these projected, but he's got 4 plus in 3 straight, 3 plus in 6 of 8 since the end of the All-Star break. He's projected just outside the top 5 here. If Tyler Hero doesn't play, he's pretty much right there on the cusp. And notably, his past 3 games where he hit 4 plus, those were all against teams who rank in the bottom in 3-point percentage or 3 points made. The Mavs, Bucks, and 76ers. So again, a lot of similarities in tonight's matchup for him, along with what he's done lately, similar to that Colin Gillespie matchup with what Luka did to the Pacers the other night. So those 4 in particular are catching my eye tonight. I haven't totally decided what I'm going to do, but I'm definitely going to play some sort of 3-point parlay with them, maybe just 4 plus for all 4 at 4 plus, and call it a day.
Luka is absolutely heaving these shots up over the last few games. I think he's last 3 games, 12 attempts, 16 attempts from 3, 14 attempts against the Pacers where he went 7 of 14, and then 10 against the Nuggets and Pelicans. So he's had double-digit attempts from 3 in each of his last 5 games. Like he's He is throwing them up. LeBron's been out for a little bit. I think LeBron is coming back in tonight. So whether that changes the makeup and he distributes a little more, I'm not too sure. I'm always sus on the Lakers. I know they're favored by 10 tonight against the Bulls. I'm always sus on them actually putting teams away. I think they're one of the teams that are susceptible to kind of play down to the level of their opponent more often than not.
Yeah.
So I'm not concerned too much about the minutes restriction on the minutes because of the blowout or whatever it might be.
Sure.
I think, if we're expecting double-digit attempts again, which I think makes sense, then that Luka ladder is definitely in play and worthy of a shot. I did put a bet on him last week. Oh, not last week, 2 days ago, with the ladder challenge. About 20 minutes after the bet, I saw the story come out where he hasn't seen his children in months and going through a tough divorce or whatever. I thought that might be bad for business for sports bettors, but he's still producing at a level. So luckily it's not, well, luckily for sports bettors, unlucky for Luka, it's not a distraction at the moment. So all the best to Luka on that side of the thing. But from a sports betting perspective, I think the Luka Doncic ladder is a decent enough play tonight. I think he's gonna stuff the stat sheet in multiple categories, which is something I'm going to speak to in just a second. But double targets, I think we've got now as well.
Yeah, so we looked at these on Friday. Just took a quick look, just kind of to see who was projected for one, who was just on the cusp. A couple interesting ones in there. We found Neemias Keita for plus 429 double. He hit that. He was actually about 2 boards under, and he's right at one today. He's plus 278 or so, I believe, the last I checked. So he's certainly worth a look. Bit of a log jam in this Bucks Heat matchup with 3 players all projected around 10 boards. So might be one to stay away for me personally. I think it's unlikely that all 3 of them would be hitting that mark. That's a lot of boards to go around. Slightly down here outside the cusp, or outside the top projected guys. DeAndre Ayton is a curious one for me. This guy used to average a double-double in his entire career before this season with the Lakers, where he's averaging about 2 boards under his career numbers. Scoring is occasionally a bit of a concern with him too, even getting to double digits. So he's one that might be worth a look just at his rebounds. But, he's in that matchup with the Bulls, who rank bottom of the league in pretty much every category. And he is the top projected rebounder in this game, just 0.1 over Luka, but obviously he's the big man. And then if you look at guys who are close with assists here, obviously the usual characters at the top, 2 triple-double candidates with Jalen Johnson and Nikola Jokic, Cade Cunningham right at 10 assists, but I would look just past those guys at a couple right here. LeBron James piques my interest. He's bounced around a bit, plus 331 to plus 310 or so before the show. 7.5 assist projection here. So he's a good, almost what I would call the start of this next tier of guys who are at 9 or higher, and then him. But again, gets the dreadful Bulls. And if he's, maybe setting up Luka for those threes, that correlates pretty well. And then Castle here also at 7.5 is an interesting one for me. Facing the Nuggets on a back-to-back in a possible Western Conference playoff preview. He was like plus 445, and that's not that far off at all from our projections, 2.5 away. But at, plus 445, that's a substantial price. So a couple guys right there in that same range where we found Keita the other day. And then I have to just call this one out because there's also been some interesting line movement, which I think makes the case for this a little more interesting. But Trae Young here, I had him here as my favorite deep cut double-double. He was plus 1120 for a double-double on DraftKings this morning. That dropped to about plus 910. It was plus 850 on FanDuel by the time we started recording. Got him projected for 14.6 and 6.1 assists. He hit 17 points and 8 assists in just 18 minutes in his Wizards debut. He didn't play the game after that. He's active tonight. Magic are a decently tough matchup, but for some pretty solid production in just 18 minutes from him in the debut, and those odds being as long as they were, just caught my attention. And it was a big drop. I grabbed it at 9:10. I wish I had grabbed it at 11:20. But that's a big movement for me, and that kind of signals a little bit of interest as well. Just sometimes seeing how the lines move with something that already caught my eye 4 assists off of a double-double.